Yes. Shalom Rastafari Essenes, and welcome friends and visitors. So, just for a second, for the very best standard practices and procedures, it is in fact 8:14 p.m. on Thursday, the 12th of September, in the evening in a C period. It's a 3.5D negative long lunar unit, and we must have had a high tide at like 3-ish p.m. or so. In any case, it's a negative unit. We're in the first annual life cycle period and the sixth simple period of overall human life. Now, you can find out more about this method of navigating so as to operate in harmony with the cycles of life and subsequently basically operate scientifically and prosper righteously in a book called Self-Mastery and Fate with the Cycles of Life by H. Spencer Lewis. Rest in peace. Okay, so I started to make this vlog because in this journey of joyful and good, high life, what really actually gets us through? Is it friends? Is it family? Is it money? Is it just having an aggressive faith in God and high amount of self-discipline, wisdom? Really, it is the case that basically it's always the Almighty that we can trust in, who is really ever living, ever faithful, ever sure, always. Now, of course, there's the maintenance of a good relationship with God. And in a nutshell, Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God. The Lord our God is one. Amen. Blessed is his name, his glorious kingdom for all eternity. Amen. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your resources, etc. Amen. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Amen. So the vertical, right, and the horizontal. Yet, really, we have a permanent source of safety, security, aid, support, guidance, counsel, correction, and help and goodness that it stems from God, and it's accessible and applicable through what is called wisdom. Wisdom is my sister. So, you see, if you really think about it, if you ask yourself right now, who can you actually absolutely trust? Is there any other human being that you can actually absolutely trust? There are varying degrees of this. The safest thing to trust in is the hesed, or the love, the providence, the loving kindness, goodness of God, the attribute of God's love. And then your ultimate source of security, safety, and basically eternal life insurance, a resource that you can always access in every life situation at every moment, is essentially wisdom, and particularly the ability to operate scientifically, science being defined as the proper application of wisdom through operating in harmony with the cycles of life. So that is the ultimate source of security for us all, potentially. And really, in order to access this and practice this, it's just simply that you should identify your actual position in the cycles of life and then map out the upcoming life cycles. Now, this information is further described in detail in a book called Self-Mastery and Fate with the Cycles of Life by H. Spencer Lewis. Rest in peace. So, essentially mapping the life cycles, let's say every 3.5 days or something, and paying attention during the day to the different cycles that you're in and what is propitious to be accomplished therein, and vice versa, you'll basically be walking wisely, and you'll see a great improvement in your overall life situation. And you see, this is not something that hinges on any worldly asset such as money or any type of material or physical world assets. This is just simply how the universe works systematically, having a knowledge thereof and being able to work in harmony with it. It's really that simple, and that's the ultimate source of safety and security, folks. And when I say safety and security, I'm talking about a level of safety and security and the ability to operate and to live in a very good way, even if it were the most unimaginable apocalypse, okay? Because you now know how the universe works systematically, and you can systematically work with the universe to accomplish anything, albeit certain things at certain times and vice versa, and that covers everything. So it's extremely powerful knowledge that has to be managed responsibly, and the guidance for that stems from the Holy Law, the Holy Bible, basically. Now, on the subject of insurance, right? Just for example, because it is something to think about. Some people have what is called life insurance, where they pay money every month into this account, and then this is supposed to be available to them in case. Yet, what if you knew how and when everything can happen, and moreover, you knew how and when to make certain things happen definitely? You would begin to master your destiny, even your divine destiny, because, there's a lot of things that we could go and seek after to accomplish, yet really it has to be your divine calling, basically. And you have to be able to really actually fulfill and live your full God-given potential. Now, this covers much more than the mundane, day-to-day sort of things that we think about in life, where now anything is possible. You're actually able to accomplish anything, literally. So, obviously, we reap what we sow. So, you should accomplish any good thing that's divinely commanded, that's permissible, that's legit, and then, there's a good results, because as we mete it out to others, so shall it be meted out to us. So imagine the step, simply the next step to take is to basically make maps of the life cycles. You identify your current position, you see where you stand in the cycles of life right now, then you map out the next life cycles. Let's say your annual health, business, and personal life cycle segment of 52 days, right? Starting from your birthday. There's 7 of those in a year. You map out the short and long lunar cycles, and you do this till, for example, the next full moon. So now you have an overview of what state, basically, the universe is in and is going to be in during a certain time frame. In this case, it would be till the 18th. So for the next 6 days, we can know exactly what is possible in, first of all, the daily periods of 3 hours and 25 minutes, wherever there are 7 in a day, and 7 days, right, makes us strong. And then, of course, during every day, there's a short lunar cycle that manifests itself in the tides, and there's the 3.5 day either negative or positively alternating long lunar cycle. Now, within these cycles, particularly those long and short lunar cycles, basically there's either a positive or a negative quality that the universe is in that has an effect on Earth and human life activity. Either a positive, masculine, life-giving quality or a negative, feminine, resting quality. If you identify certain windows of opportunity that are basically time frames when, for example, during a certain daily period of 3 hours and 25 minutes, you know what can be accomplished based on a description of the daily periods, and you know what the lunar cycles are, either negative or positive, and that identifies either universal support for whatever it is that you're actively seeking to accomplish, or a little bit more of a sort of a resting quality. Universal support and divine providence is always available, yet in varying degrees of measure. So if there's something big that has to be accomplished, right? Let's say gaining the right employment, or going on a particular journey, acquiring some type of support in order to accomplish something. There are particular times when this is identifiable as being possible, and based on how much effort you put into mapping out the cycles of life, and thus making a map, for example, from the new moon to the full moon, for example, if you have the cycles mapped out, simply the lunar cycles, and then you utilize certain daily periods of the cycles of life of 3 hours and 25 minutes, wherein certain things can be accomplished and are perpetuous and vice versa, you can definitely accomplish certain legitimate goals and objectives, and quite truthfully, anything at a certain time. And this, like I said, does not hinge upon anything of the world in terms of financial resources or physical assets whatsoever. This is just simply by automatic, seemingly invisible, yet all-pervading, all-governing universal providence and life force. Okay, so the way that this starts, though, is there's a time when you will actually feel moved to make, big steps to accomplish important things, to really get out there and go and get it, right? That's going to be in a time when there's a positive life-giving force based on positive lunar units and so on and so forth. Whereas right now, for example, it's, you see, I'm laying on my bed here, vlogging. I could be out scouting and like literally out there. That will be at a time when it's more of a positive quality present in the universe, in Earth and human life activity. So basically, for any good thing, there is a time when it can be accomplished, and moreover, it actually will be accomplished by you based on and also directly, definitely, decisively related to the right timing. If I were to tell you that there's a time when you could accomplish basically what could be classified as a miracle, and you could know beforehand when this is, then you could make that move towards that miracle and it would happen. And this has happened. I've done this, whether great or small, okay? I would say that, for example, in my career so far, it seems like the grandest thing that I ever set out to accomplish was actually to go to the Holy Land. So, at a time when it was propitious to do so, I made all the steps and made all the moves to accomplish the different objectives, whether it was gaining employment to then attain the financial resources to buy the flight, then flying at the right time, arriving at the right time, just basically walking and operating and living prudently and wisely and scientifically. With this, you basically have all the opportunity, and even so much that you have to stop and organize yourself and map the cycles of life and move and operate in harmony with them so as to prosper to the max. So this is possible. This can be done. It could be said that in order to have the greatest amount of success, all one has to do is simply map a little bit for a couple minutes a day, every couple of days, basically. Now, there's different levels to this, and I'd like to inform you and take this to heart that if you put in a certain amount of time and really focus your efforts on mapping the cycles of life, ranging from the daily periods, the short and long lunar cycles, and then, of course, paying attention to your to the 52-day segment of the annual life cycle that you're in, and then your overall life cycle, you basically have an overview of how everything is progressing cyclically. So what's interesting is that actually everything in our lives is already perfectly ordered. There's a perfect path of progress for us that has already actually been established by the Creator from the very beginning, when God geometrized in the beginning and ordered everything aright using wisdom. And we have insight into this system of the cycles of life. And see, what's interesting is that as we have basically all the capability that one could ever imagine, right? An operational capability, there is a certain route for every one of us based on the time and the day that we were born and took our first breath, where this is where your life cycle began, and this is how you should live. So there's a route that's already been prepared that ranges basically covering, all of the human earthly life cycle of from 0 to maximum 144 years. So it's as if all of your life is already mapped out for you, potentially including a basic amount of security and safety and guidance and a particular route for you to operate on. And while I say it's already mapped out, at the same time you have all the opportunities to accomplish anything all the time as you go. So it does not limit. Rather, it's as if you're sailing smoothly and you can go anywhere. Yet there are some parameters, and these have to do with when we were born, in terms of that, based on when you were born and your life cycle began, you have certain advantages, certain strengths, certain natural inclinations. For example, in terms of profession, you could be an excellent teacher, yet it would not serve you to become, a judge or a doctor. Okay? How can we know this? It's through wisdom. So, actually, let's just look at the ideal life of a human being guided by wisdom, operating in harmony with the cycles of life, right? At age 36, I look in retrospect and I say, okay, look, ideally what would happen is from the moment you were born and took your first breath, you would be guided by your parents to make decisions that were wise and in accordance with certain divine guidance in the form of wisdom to, for example, choose the right, especially to choose the right profession at a young age, so as to then excel and advance and become an expert in your field, and to also be very prosperous on all levels, right? In business, personal, and in health, life. What I'm saying is that it does not make much difference what your age is now. You can always simply just adjust your course right now and operate in harmony with the cycles of life from here on, and so on, and so on. Now, we've basically been doing this for a couple of years now, more intensively since about 2015, and I could say a lot more. Basically, the most important thing to do at this moment is simply adjust your course by reading and studying the cycles of life, the knowledge of the cycles of life, and how to operate and live in harmony with them. And that's basically a daily discipline. So every day, there are different cycles, the shortest ones being 3 hours and 25 minutes, the daily periods, right? So right now, we know what cycle we're in, we know what is perpetuous to be accomplished, and we always navigate day by day, at least paying attention to the daily period that we're in of 3 hours and 25 minutes, where there are 7 in every day, and then 7 days makes us strong, and so on and so forth. It's simply navigating. And just now it's 8:40. Okay, so we're out of a C period into a D period, for example. So you check, okay, it's a D period. This is what is perpetuous. This is what should be done now. This is what shouldn't. Do what is perpetuous, right? And then what happens is, see, through practicing this basic amount of discipline, paying attention to and then seeking to operate in harmony with the cycles of life, like every hour, every day, on and on and on, you automatically prosper, and everything that you're doing is sort of divinely supported, universally supported in a good way, so you're always basically successful. Now, I'd like to touch on one more thing about just how much operational capability we have with this. And this is why you have to stop and become quote unquote cosmically attuned, or listen to the divine inspiration from God within, right? At certain times, because you may be wondering, what is the right decision to make here, whether it's anything, what employment to seek, where to apply for work, where to go to work, who to talk to, who not to talk to, planning the next month, etc., year. You got to basically just pay attention to the cycles of life, and there's a description. See, while there is basically a description of everything to come, generally, it is the case that you have the ability to decide what will become of it all the time. So, what I'm seeking to communicate is that in the beginning, God geometrized, and He set a certain path for every one of us based on our life cycle, right? It does not limit us in any way, shape, or form. Rather, it's as if there's a certain pattern to operate according to that completely expedites everything in your life, to the point where if you're operating in harmony as much as possible, because it's an increasingly effective mode of operation that we gain, like, it's a daily discipline. It's working better and better, right? You might, if you take the time to read enough to know where you are in your life cycle, and you look at what is coming up, then you can see already what way to go. Yet there's different levels of just how accurate we can operate. And this is where it becomes truly great because look, see, if you put in enough time, this is easy. This isn't even like hours. I'll give you a quick example of just how simple and effective this is. So, if you put in a little bit of time every day, you know every couple of minutes, every couple of hours though, definitely every 3 hours and 25 minutes, you check your watch, right? You see what time it is. You know what daily period you're in. You know what the short lunar cycle is, the tides at the nearest maritime location. You know what the 3.5 day lunar cycle is, either negative or positive. You generally, and then you know what, so starting on your birthday, 52 days is one segment of the 7 annual life cycle periods. If you know that one that you're in, and also the business and the health cycle you're in, basically there's an indication that takes maybe 5 minutes. You can take 10, 15 would be better. Generally, within a couple of minutes of reading, you know where you are in the life cycles and what you should seek to accomplish. And if you actually seek to accomplish that what is perpetuous at that time, whether it's the daily periods, it's the daily periods, it's during the day, right, every day, and so on, you will accomplish whatever it is that you're seeking to, in as much as it's that what is basically universally supported. So this is really interesting because it's a guarantee. It is an absolute guarantee for basically success that does not have anything to do with any worldly resources. It's like okay, let's say you decided to go on a journey somewhere. Whether you have money or not, you can go on that journey and you will reach your destination based on operating wisely. Like you could accomplish anything using this system. And it would not hinge upon anything of the world. It's as if you can operate in a way that you've overcome and you're on top of the entire world and any type of worldly asset. Even the ability to attain certain things of the world, such as money or food, clothes, shelter, housing, amenities, etc., that's also included in the package. So the thing is, it's as if using a certain amount of wisdom, you can accomplish anything definitely, not having to do with or being dependent upon anything of the world whatsoever. So what I'm saying is, this quickly goes into the category of what some would call miracles. Like, how did he do that? That's miraculous. No, it's simply by wisdom. Okay, so now if you're planning, right, wisely planning, you have to see what it is that you're predestined. Now, when I say predestined, this does not limit in any way. Rather, it's as if there's a rhythm of life that is perfect, where everything is better than you could ever imagine, and you just simply get into that rhythm. And that's just that simple. Because, see, okay, I'm going to give you an example. There are certain countries, for certain people, that are better to go to than others based on wisdom and the cycles of life, the knowledge thereof. So it's not on my mind to go to, you know, X amount of countries. I have certain countries that I know that it's wise for me to actually go there and even live there, right? And work there. So this, for example, or your choice of employment, profession. I know through wisdom and the cycles of life, right, that there's a particular group of professions or different types of employment, right, different fields of work that are good for me to work in, and vice versa. So you see, wisdom helps us eliminate a lot of the unnecessary noise and identify what is propitious for us in life. Okay, I know that, for example, there's a time when if I decide to, I can go on a journey and it will be fine. Like 100%. Okay? Whereas I know that at another time, it's not the case. So you can always make decisions that will lead to the maximum amount of good results and overall quality of life. This is really powerful. Yet, it opens up even more windows of opportunity. Let's say you had a dream to accomplish something. World peace, collective security. Okay. Most folks would tell you how you have to have, an education, this diploma, then you have to be selected to work in, let's say, for example, this institution that governs, this and that. But what if there was with wisdom, you could actually accomplish any good thing and anything technically. With wisdom, you could accomplish anything that you seek to accomplish. If you timed it right. And because this goes so high, we really have to be broader in outlook and even more optimistic. Because, you see, I was going to say, as we have all the opportunity, like I was explaining earlier, there are just certain things that we're not going to seek to do because we know that it's not our calling, it's not what is propitious, right? It's not propitious for me to become a, what's the name? Like a banker. I could, yet it's just not, for me it would be more propitious to become a human rights lawyer or a teacher, for example. Some more of a humanitarian profession. So already knowing this, I can make decisions that will lead to me basically prospering, being successful. It's like there's a perfect rhythm of life that if you operate in harmony with it, everything in your life is just plus perfect, even better than you could ever imagine, versus laboring in vain. Okay? So, with all the options that we have, we can simplify and identify those things and these routes of action that are propitious. Because technically, right, and this is technically true, with wisdom, you can basically accomplish anything. Yet, really, there are certain things to be accomplished based on your life cycle. So these are the things you should set out to accomplish, and if you actually operate wisely, you will accomplish them. Okay, it could also be presented this way. At any given point in time, all the time, divine providence right? Cosmic providence is essentially giving, readily actually giving certain things at different times. And if at the right times you even simply seek to access certain things, it's just simply given to you. You've got it. It's actually that simple. So, like, if your wish was to go on a journey, okay, you would have to say, where is it wise for me to go? And once you've identified a general area or a select number of countries that are wise for you to go to, right? If you set out on the journey at the right time, it would all be cosmically, divinely supported. And then on the journey, you maintain discipline, operate in harmony with the cycles of life, move wisely. You will basically have a great and a good journey and reach whatever goal it is, and so on and so forth. And that could be said about life too. It's really very detailed at certain points, usually in the evenings when you reflect, right? So there's basically the scientific experimentation in the field of life during the day, right? And then in the evenings when you reflect, you may notice something that happened and you realize, why did that happen? And then it becomes clear to you what time of the day this was, what period was that in, what cycle of life, what cycles of life was this particular thing in, and you see why it either worked or didn't work, whatever it was. So you gain more insight into how everything works. You're steadily gaining more wisdom and intelligence and becoming more capable to operate in harmony with the cycles of life, and thus really live and actually manifest and fulfill your highest divine human potential, right? So this is really serious because now, look, just for instance, if you have a cosmic impulse, a divine inspiration, a divinely inspired good idea, right, to accomplish something, or mostly, when we're looking at things that could be accomplished, good things, good works, right? Accomplishing the highest good for ourselves and others, right? Whatever the thing is, if you have a really powerful dream, for example, make your best effort to identify what time, right? What time was that? What time did that thought actually first arrive? Okay, so it was right now. Okay, so you check to see if that divine idea, that cosmic impulse, divine inspiration you had, you check and see if it's perpetuous in this daily period, in this cycle, in these life cycles, in this one you're in. If it is the case, then further consider it. And then as you think about it and reflect and gain more wisdom about it, it will become absolutely clear to you how to accomplish it. This gives us the ability to basically accomplish anything that we can imagine, basically speaking. And this should be something that is divinely commanded, that's permissible, and that doesn't violate any of God's laws or cosmic law. Because we reap what we sow. As we mete it out to others, so shall it be meted out to us. So it's truly powerful and something we should take very serious, take to heart, that actually whatever really good, powerful divine inspiration or something we feel moved to accomplish, we have, right? This can be accomplished. And it 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 will be accomplished with divine support. And it does not depend upon, first and foremostly actually, on anything related to the physical world in as much as financial resources or anything like that. It's simply the case that we can accomplish anything with wisdom, through divine support, with wisdom. Knowing this, one should actually really take the time to reflect and figure out what it is. And once you know what it is, you should write it down. And you should write down when and what time you had whatever thought or idea or dream it is that really inspired you, that's real divine inspiration, that's like your divine calling. Because you should pay attention to that. That would be the will of God communicated directly to you, to be taken seriously, and ideally to be accomplished. So we shouldn't underestimate the fact that God's will is communicated directly to us at certain times. Yet, what may sound humorous to some is the fact that, see, God's will is communicated to man through thoughts, ideas, impulses, urges at different times during the day. Yet, can you imagine that whether or not God's will actually become manifested has to do with whether or not we wisely work it out? So, it could be the case that you would have a divine dream, a vision, an inspiration, an idea. It could be during the dark hours when you're literally dreaming, right? Or during the day in the regular, quote-unquote, awakened state. If it's really powerful enough, you'll know it, you'll remember it, you'll write it down, you'll log it somehow and seek to fulfill it. And if you use wisdom to fulfill this thing that is perpetuous, then it will be done. It will be done. Because like I said, at certain times, divine providence is actually readily giving and actually providing certain providential packages. And if you just seek it, it's like if you reach for it at the right time, you will simply get it because it's being given. This is how it works. So an example of this, a very simple example of this would be if you set out on a journey, right? And you had $8 or something, whereas ideally you would have 100 or 200 to take the train and then to book a hotel and all this and all that. You still set out on this journey at the right time. Somehow you met somebody, they helped you on the journey, you made it there, then it all worked out of nowhere, quote unquote, because divine providence is readily providing certain things at certain times based on the fact that the cycles of life have a direct effect on earth and human activity, firstly on yourself and then on others. And if you can manage every interaction with everybody wisely, it's just pure mutually beneficent, good success. So, okay, theoretically, let's say you decide to take a train somewhere. Whether or not you have money for the train ticket does not decide, that does not determine whether or not you're going to make it happen and get there. Because there's a time when you could simply speak to your neighbor will give you a train ticket, and you'll be on that train to where you'd like to go. See, it does not come from the visible sort of worldly level. It's from the divine providence, and what effect is so it's the effect that the life cycles are having on all of life, including your own human activity and that of others. So, like, to put this simply, if you all of a sudden are inspired to see, why am I talking so much about journeys right now? It's because we're in a D period right now on a Thursday evening where it's a good time for starting long journeys. You see how there's an effect on, first of all, myself from the cosmic, from the life cycle that we're in? That's why I'm talking about journeys right now. See how it's automatic? So there's even an automatic, perfectly guiding system in place from the Creator that's actually gradually, perfectly ordering everything aright in all of our lives if we simply just seek to operate with a little bit of discipline in harmony with it. So, for example, now, if I decide to fly somewhere now, I can get wherever I'm going to go, regardless of how much money I have or anything else. If I decide now, just to show you how this works, I wonder if I should start. Oh, that would be funny. I was just thinking of doing a challenge for fun. Yet, never mind. Why? Because of this. Right now is not a time for any like risky endeavors. What I was going to say is that if I decide to fly somewhere now, okay, I'm literally reaching in my pocket. What's in my pocket is just just this piece of paper, okay? I can go anywhere I decide to go right now with cosmic providence, period. Yet, first of all, there are some places that I will not go based on wisdom, and there's a few places where I would go based on wisdom. Okay, so that already identifies where you would go. Now, how to get there? It's like having a free pass, a universal free pass that has to be used responsibly. That is a total universal free pass. In terms of that, with wisdom, you can work with wisdom so that you can accomplish anything above and beyond the world and its limitations. So, like, if I decided now to go somewhere, all I would have to do is I would have to map the cycles of life that are coming up. Then I would have to just simply identify the windows wherein I would have to make certain moves to access certain forms of divine providence to accomplish whatever objective it was every step of the way to achieve my objective, and so on and so forth. It's that simple. I've done this. I guess if I were to give an example that would make some sense, I don't know if it would be astonishing, I don't think, yet I've managed to go to places and accomplish things within parameters that would probably be considered challenging to some. Like, if I decided that there was a particular place that I would need to go, I would be able to get there gradually, right? Definitely. And this would not depend upon anything of the world. If we have a certain objective, we can accomplish this objective systematically by operating in harmony with the cycles of life, by operating scientifically. And the interesting thing is that a lot of this is like scientific experimentation, because you have an idea, you identify that it's propitious at that time, and then you go out and you seek to accomplish it, and you see how it works. And when it works, then you see how it worked and how it could work better, and so on and so forth. Yeah.